when you own land, there's nothing like it. When you have your little spot, your little slice, and you can go out and do whatever it is that gets you tickled, like whatever you want, and no one's there watching you, and it's just yours. It's different. It's really, really different. And you hear all these country songs about owning dirt. There's a reason. There's a couple country songs about it because it's legit. Like it's legit stuff, and it's so much fun. And
Nate, welcome back to the Land Podcast. A lot has happened, and you are synonymous with the guy that lived on a boat to buy land. And so a lot has happened since this is all last transpired. And really, it's been unintentional. But I'm actually getting like the feedback loop of guys that bought something 3 years ago, and then how much their life has changed, and then an update on this. So it's actually been really fascinating. I'm looking forward to this, but. For folks who haven't come across you, don't remember the boat episode, who are you, Nate?
yeah, so Nate Hicks. I actually looked up that episode because a couple of people have brought it up to my attention since that time. It's been 3 years, but June 20th was when we recorded that podcast. And yeah, I mean, I'm really excited to share the story today because well, first off, I've never really told it, so I'm going to be counting on you kind of to like help, be a good interviewer because there's a lot of this I haven't actually fleshed out entirely. And then secondly, it's a story in a big way of faith, and I'm kind of excited to share that side of it. But there's just, and especially the company. So like Painted Arrow, like you asked me to introduce myself. That at the time that you interviewed me in June of 2022, like the company had like just kind of been like a side hustle. It wasn't like this full time thing, and in a lot of ways, like the land and the moving and the story you're going to hear today, like it's all intertwined in a really divine way.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but yeah, I'm Nate Hicks. Been it's been a crazy 5 years, I would say, with kids, family, starting Painted Arrow. But all in all, I'm just a normal dude from Michigan. That's really what it comes down to. I'm just a normal guy, and um, I appreciate you having me on. I'm excited to talk with you. So.
Yeah, no, it's actually really, when you think about it, number one, it doesn't feel like that episode was 3 years ago, but I remember like the infancy of Painted Arrow and seeing what you guys have been able to do over and like continuing to grow and new products, new innovation. And I know you guys are a tight knit team, and I just have to tip my cap off to you guys. And so it'll be
Appreciate
fun
it.
to hear the all the intersections of real estate and the business. But real quick, let's go back and just rehash just real quick your first initial purchase, and then fixing the house, and
Yep.
then that'll be the springboard of what has happened, everything since then.
Yep. So born and raised in Michigan, always dreamed of owning land. I think a lot of people would relate to that. Listening to this, my grandfather had a 35-acre apple orchard that I kind of grew up on. Just loved the vibe. I loved just everything about it, just down to the roots. Loved it. He was a big piece of why I wanted to buy land. I ended up buying a boat in Michigan, living on the boat for like 3.5 years. And the idea was like I was going to move out west to Montana. I fell in love with that country out there, doing a fish and wildlife job that I'd done. And through me kind of going in those teenage to 20, early 20 years, I got into the land. I ended up purchasing. I actually had to sell the boat to be able to afford the land. And that whole podcast was, that's the one we were talking about and that
Yeah.
we released originally. But ended up buying my dream farm. Right, I'm living on the dream farm, and I think we kind of left it at the, you know, shot a really nice deer on that property, shot a couple of really nice deer on the property, and that's kind of like right when the company had started, really. And so that's kind of everything that we had talked about in the last podcast, getting to the point where we are now.
Yeah, which I encourage everyone to go listen to that episode if they haven't done so already, because at the time we had an editor named Skylar, and he edited that episode. He was just started earlier, like a month or maybe a month and a half before that, and he's like, "Man, Nate's kind of crazy. I like him a lot." I really enjoyed his story. And I'm sure a lot of times when he would edit a podcast, he would like just jump through and like make sure everything's good. But I think he got sucked into listening to the whole thing.
Yeah.
So
Well, I do have to add too, like when I was listening to that, man, it feels like I've matured so much because listening to myself talk, and the knowledge that I thought I had, and it's so crazy to hear yourself talk 3 years ago. Like I just felt very immature sounding to me. So I'm excited to hopefully show you guys the new and improved version.
Wonderful. Okay, so you had bought what you thought was your forever home. I've heard that a lot. I've sold forever farms. I've sold forever houses. So I don't necessarily know if they exist, but in your scenario, you guys decided to fix up this house, loved it, enjoyed it, felt really tied and rooted to that property. And then what sparked the sale of your forever dream house and farm
Yeah.
and everything else?
Yeah, so it really starts with my wife, and when we bought that house, I'm gonna call this house A. That was like
Okay.
house A,
Okay.
just to keep this as simple as possible. When we bought that, it was a really small house, 1,400 square feet. My wife and I had dreamed about having kids, family, the whole deal, and it was kind of like a handshake deal between her and I. Like, you know, the location of that house was like out in the middle of nowhere, dirt road. Just the vibe was awesome, but it was not for her, it was for me. And so
Hmm.
she very clearly allowed that to happen because she knew that I was extremely excited about it. And so the agreement that I made with her was like, hey, someday once we have a family, once we start popping out kids, we will either A, build a really nice addition that you are extremely excited about, or B, we will move somewhere that has a bigger home that fits all of your needs, and hopefully it'll fit mine at that time. But like my wife really did a big deal for me, allowing me to kind of purchase that way out. I mean, it wasn't close to our families. It was just like during COVID, we got a good deal on the property, and it was really good hunting. Right? It fit.
Hmm.
It was more for me, and I want to make sure that's really clear. She loved it after we renovated and everything. But anyways, we didn't have kids when we moved into House A. So all of a sudden, here we are, baby's on the way, baby's expected. Everybody's really excited. And I mean, you can live in 1,400 square feet, but it's like, it's tight. I mean, it's tight. So we had the baby there. We, kind of started having, the mumblings of like building this addition and, what that would look like. And I remember I got three specific individual quotes from different contractors to like do the addition. And if you guys can roll your minds back to like, the COVID and post COVID timeframe, the lumber prices were, I mean, oh my gosh, it
Through
was
the roof.
insane. So like all this to be said, it was like we could build on for hundreds of thousands of dollars, or we could sell and buy something way larger than the addition, plus the current square
Yeah.
footage. For like it was just like it was super obvious at that point when you start looking at the square footage. Like we could sell this, buy something new with a lot bigger home, a lot bigger square footage, and just a footprint that kind of fits having kids versus building off a weird addition off an old funky farmhouse. So we started kind of looking, kind of comparing options. We find this house 15 minutes up the road, and it had 68 acres. The house that we were living at had 66 acres. That house A had 50 acres of tillable CRP ground, and I was making like $200 an acre in the
Well,
CREP program. So it wasn't the CRP, but it was the CREP program. So it was the
permanent.
conservation, exactly, the enhancement program. So that was really cool about that. I was worried at the time that I wouldn't be able to find somebody to want to take on that property because um, anybody who knows anything about the CRP stuff, like if you don't have them agree to continue the program, they can basically it can come back on you where you have to pay out all the proceeds that have been paid out into since the start of the actual program. So I was really worried about that. I was thinking it was going to be hard to sell this property, but when we bought House A, we bought it right. We completely renovated it. We see
And you
this
guys did a
house.
lot of the renovations yourself, didn't you?
I did 100% of the renovations.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean,
So
I
of
had
course.
somebody come in and do the drywall
Yeah.
mudding, but like other than that, like I did everything.
Hmm. Yeah,
So
a lot of forced equity there. A lot of free labor that hopefully comes back. When you
yeah,
decide to sell it.
yes. So we end up going to look at this house, and here's what's interesting. So this house was almost three times the size. It was like 4,400 square foot.
That's a big house.
Yeah. Um, it was beautiful. I feel it was a timber estate. It was like this house on a hill, and it had water frontage to a lake in the nearby area. So like I had potentially when we were looking at it, we were like falling in love with the idea of like, okay, you got the woods in the back to hunt, and then we have a house overlooking a lake that is lake access. Like everybody's happy at that point. Mama and daddy, babies can do whatever they. It was just like this. We fell in love with it as soon as we walked into the door, and it had some timber framing inside. Like it was just this gorgeous, gorgeous dream house, and they wanted a lot of money for it, and so you know, it didn't take long for us once we saw it. Like, hey, we would definitely be interested, but like, okay, let's look at the numbers. Do the numbers make sense? Can we make this happen? What's realistically, possible? So we start looking into it. Um, we had to get somebody to pay top dollar for our house in
Mhm.
order for us to be able to afford this house. So house A needed to sell in order for house B to be bought. And so we list this thing, and I was really, really just I didn't have a good feel for the area because I'd never like really sold anything. I'd never lived there other than the last 2 years. And I remember we wanted to make sure that we had lived there for at least 2 years so we weren't dealing with capital gains or anything like of the sort. So we lived there for 2 years, and within 10 days we had somebody make an offer contingent upon their house selling. And so we accepted the offer, and then our offer then became contingent upon our house selling and their house selling. So there's like three houses in a loop.
Dominoes.
That it was
Yeah.
it was crazy. And I don't remember all the specific details on it, but I remember it took a really long time to close because we thought that the people who offered on our house were going to end up like not even be able to get financing or whatever. So like anyways, long story short, um, they ended up making it happen.
Mhm.
They got their house sold, which then we sold our house to them, which then we bought our house B. Okay.
Mhm.
And I guess I just want to say like that was really, really, really hard. I remember it being very exciting because it was giving my wife and my family something that we thought that it was just going to be the best. It was the best obvious next choice for us as a family. And when you have kids, like it's hard to really. I don't want to go off on a dad tangent, but like when you don't have kids and then you have kids, your mindset it's like night and day. It's just like it changes everything. It changes the way you look at everything almost. And so, as we had this kid, like our first son, like it was like a really obvious choice to be a little bit closer to family, a little bit closer to, we have water access now. We can go fishing all the time, hunting, the whole thing. So it was like we were hook, line, and sinker sold on this. And um, all the while, I guess it's important to say, Painted Arrow at this point, you know, this business is something that Devin and I, he's my best friend. We were 50-50 partners with the business. At the time, it was like as big as it was going to get. Like we weren't going to grow anymore unless somebody like quit their job and gave it full time.
Mhm.
And so right in this exact time frame when we bought this house B, I had decided to quit my job. And this is this is I want to give this as much time. So if you have any thoughts around this, like ask, because I'm having a hard time recalling
Well,
exactly
there's
what
a
happened.
lot of major life changes right there. You sell a house that you thought you'd be there forever. You're having your first child. You're deciding to, I assume, a pretty strong corporate career where that feels very taboo. That feels so against the grain when you conventionally say that out loud. Like, oh yeah, you're buying a 4,400 square foot house on the lake with timber. And actually, I'm putting in my 2 weeks for my really comfortable, good job that I have a really clear trajectory forward to continue this business where we sell online and to retailers. And how old's the business at this time? Like 3 or 4 years, maybe 2 years,
It
three
was
years.
2021 was like our first real strong year selling product. So
Uh-huh.
we Painted Arrow as an entity existed before then, but it was just a platform. It wasn't
Mhm.
generating any type of money at all.
So
Um,
so that's really interesting. So you guys had started like the YouTube channel and Did you guys have a podcast before you launched
Yep.
the for the first? Okay, I love that. I love that you guys did
Pod
that.
Podcast started in 18,
Okay.
and, it really kinda like, the followers kinda turned up in 19. Devin had the idea for the product, which is the Mag Pro, and we don't have to
Mhm.
go into all that, but basically, like, I had this little platform, and he had this little idea, and we were like, "Let's do this and see if we can, make something happen." And it's like, that story is insane by itself. But
Mhm.
the timing of all this, like we were doing what we called GSDs, get stuff done, for a nice way to say it. We'd get up at 4 a.m. before our normal job started, and we'd try and make progress every single day. And it just we were both wore out. He had kids, I had kids coming, and it was just like the business was as big as it was going to get. And I decided, we had just put on Shields as a dealer, and all we knew is that we were going to be going into 31 locations. We didn't know what the volume would be. We didn't know who the people were, that the key individuals. We didn't know the buyers. We didn't know nothing other than, hey, guess what, guys? You're going to go into 31 stores this year with this one SKU. So I remember I went on a road trip and like visit all these places, all these locations, as many as I could, all the Shield stores, went and introduced myself. And I kind of told myself, like, hey, if I get back from this trip, and I met a bunch of different individual like independent dealers along the way, and if that trip went well, I was going to quit my job when I got back. And that was right at the time we had this offer out on this bigger house B. And we get back, and it went well enough to make me feel like, hey, it's God's kind of calling me to like quit my job. And just to your point, like corporate America job, like I was pretty sucked in. Like I was on a salary, I had benefits, I had a company truck. Like they were taking care of me. And like
Mhm.
you start adding all those little things up. I know it now because I'm a business owner and I have to pay for my own insurance. It's absolutely insane. But like
Yeah.
it's real. It's a real, like they suck you in with all those things. So anyway, I took a huge pay cut, bought this house. My baby, when we bought this house B, our first boy, Ridge, he wasn't even born yet. So like within a month of us like moving into the house, our son's born, or a couple months. I can't remember what it was. It's probably
Mhm.
2 months. So here we are. We left our farm. All right, house A, farm A. That's
It's
that's
gone.
that's in the past. It's gone. We're in the new house, and right about this time with the business, like we started operating out of Devin's pole barn because, like I said, like all of a sudden the dominoes start falling. And if you remember in the last podcast, the only reason I remember is because I listened to it. But the last podcast we did 3 years ago, we mentioned like, oh yeah, we're going to be buying a commercial building soon, right?
Yeah.
That was like kind of looming, like we need a place, because like the product was being assembled in my mom's basement. I was shipping product out of my house. Devin had a lot of our like components and things like that, like just everywhere there was Painted Arrow, and there was no like central location. So all of a sudden we moved to this house B. And um, if you want to ask anything about that, please feel free, Jake. But basically, all of a sudden, I'm commuting every single day about an hour one way. So 2 hours a day, 1 hour there, 1 hour back, 1 hour there, 1 hour back to Devin's pole barn, which he graciously allowed us to use because he ended up moving. He's got a great story to tell. You should interview him on another podcast.
He's yeah, absolutely.
Basically, that's where I'm sitting right now. I'm in Devon's pole barn. We built out an office in here every day. I'm commuting every day. This is kind of where we've built the foundation of our business. And as you'll hear, it's kind of coming to a head right now. But um, basically, that got old really, really quick. And
Yeah, being self-employed and then driving a 2-hour round trip every single day, that's brutal. I mean, I
yeah,
know people do that every single day, and I understand that, but okay, so you talk about the corporate benefits, right? So you get all these different things, but being self-employed, sometimes you get benefits that aren't necessarily monetary. Maybe it's flexibility. Maybe you don't have to commute. Like for me, I'm in my garage right now. I have a five step commute.
yeah, yeah.
So that's interesting that was still a big sticking point. The one question about House B, was that publicly listed or did you guys sniff that out?
No, it was publicly listed.
Mhm.
He was a really good example of a house that a doctor owned. I believe he was a doctor. He was not living there as his primary residence. it had the square footage, it had the shell, it had the foundation, but like it was like rented out as an Airbnb, and it just had a lot of little issues that really added up. Like we had to put in all new appliances. We had like the floor was in bad condition. Like it was one of those. It wasn't LVP, but a laminate. So like water had
Oh, yeah,
gotten
yeah.
on it, and the floor was all bubbly. I mean, it was
Yep.
really really bad. So we had to end up replacing that. The air conditioning, coil unit broke within a month of us living there, and we had to get a new, condensing unit. Um, like everything was just outdated. All the drywall was scuffed. All the light switches didn't work. They were all like those off tan, like
The yellow
ivory
almond.
color.
Yeah.
It was just like little stuff like that. But on a house that size, I'm going in, and trying to get everything kind of up to snuff. And um, a lot of the, just electrical was just really weird and had to be replaced. And the fixtures were, it was just, everything about it was just like it needed love. And I really, really underestimated how much, work that would need, to be honest with you. But I felt confident coming out of House A because I did the whole thing. Like, what's the big deal? But,
Yeah,
you know,
1,400 square feet versus 4,400 square feet. That is a massive, massive, huge difference. And just, the amount of work. Maybe it was less of a lift, but times it by three
yeah,
for everything. How, on a scale 1 to 10, how well did you do on the purchase and sale of House A? Because I know that you guys felt like
yep,
you got a good deal. Um, you basically did all the work yourself. So, you know,
yep.
on a
So just
scale
to
1 to 10,
recap
how?
that,
Yeah.
yeah, I'll give you the details. So basically, when we bought House A, Farm A, we basically bought just the land. Like we paid for basically just the land. There was
Yeah.
holes in the floor where rodents and like raccoons were coming in the home. It smelled like urine. Like the people knew that there was very little value. Like we
Yeah.
basically took it down to the foundation. So like I can't remember exact. Hold on, let me try and get you the exact numbers. But I think I bought 66 acres in 2021 for 230 or 240,000,
Hmm.
and I basically put 150 cash into the house to renovate it. And it
Hmm.
wasn't that big, right? It was 1,400 square feet. I did a lot of it by myself. If I was paying somebody, it would probably got me close to 200 grand in actual
Hmm.
materials and labor, like to redo it. So we doubled our money when we sold it. We sold it for just under a half a million dollars.
It's amazing.
It was incredible. And it blew my mind because, like I told you, when we listed it, I was like,
Nervous. Yeah.
we weren't forced to go anywhere. So it's like, hey, honey, like, what's a price that you and I both feel comfortable with? And if somebody pays it, like, it makes it easy for us to say, yes, we will sell this place that we love dearly. And I've literally built with my two hands. So that's kind of what we did. We put it up for a price that was like, we thought was rich, could get our deal done, and somebody paid it. And
Hmm.
it was like a huge, um, it was just like a sweet and sour type thing. It was very exciting, but at the same time, it was like, I was trying to listen to God this whole time, and that's something I want to make very clear. Like, you can't do these big life things without having some type of foundation or bedrock of like faith. And that's my personal opinion. And I'm
Hmm.
not pushing it on anybody, but like for me, I was like trying to talk to God, like, is this the right thing to do? Like, is this what I'm supposed to be doing, with all my time? But it ended up working out for us. And so we doubled our money on House A. We almost doubled our mortgage on the second house because our interest rate, for the people who remember that COVID timeframe, I think we were at 2.9 interest rate.
Yeah. Yeah. Tough to give up.
Oh, dude, we were stupid to give it up. Um, I think we locked in our second house at like it was like 5.75
Hmm.
from 2.9. And it like doubled our mortgage,
Hmm.
doubled it. So here we are taking a huge pay cut, having a kid, all these things, switching life up and just deciding to make it more interesting. So anyways, so for a while there, we're living in the house. The property was good. I shot a couple of bucks out there. We did a huge logging project, cleared a bunch of tillable acreage on that property. This is all
Hmm.
documented and on our YouTube channel. And um, I fully expect to hear a lot of people like, because we kind of told the story on our podcast, but I haven't done it this in depth. But a lot of people had reached out. You sold that property already? You just did all that work, and we did. We took 709 trees out of 70 acres, basically 68
Hmm.
acres, and cleared, I think, roughly 6 to 7 tillable. So we had like a field in there at the end.
If you want to know where property boundaries are for public or private, you want to develop a great plan for your farm, document perfect access to a blind, to a tree stand, carve out and measure food plots, connect your Moultrie trail cameras to an app that shows exactly where they're at, and you can look at the feed for that specific camera location, then Onyx is something you need to check out. It is the only mapping software I use when it comes to deer hunting. I've tried other pieces of software, different apps, and I always go back to Onyx because I think it is the most comprehensive, easy to use, and robust mapping software there is when it comes to hunting and land ownership. You want to send a pen to a friend, boom, send it to them right to text, opens it up. Maybe you have notes, maybe you have pictures on that pin, transfers all of it. You want to send a whole entire folder of a plan that you mocked up, you can do that on Onyx. So be sure to check out Onyx. They are a huge supporter of the Land Podcast. They allow us to travel around and talk to some folks that can give you really good insight and good information no matter where you're at in your process of buying land. Let's get back to the conversation. That field looked really cool on your guys' YouTube channel, how it kind of hockey, or maybe a hockey stick or maybe like a boomerang. And yeah, that was cool that you guys documented the whole process.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of the funnest times, man. It was one of the funnest things. Like I got to really be a part of that. The logging crew came in and kind of like cleared the trees in that area, but I had ended up renting an excavator for 81 hours. I rented the excavator, spent 2 full weeks in an excavator digging out stumps to make this 6 to 7 acres of tillable. And it was, I learned that's a whole nother thing I could go off on. But like, we did severe work out there to try and improve the habitat and show the people, like, here's what I'm doing. Like, I didn't know what I was doing, and I didn't claim to know what I was doing, but I was trying to make, lifelong impacts, because I planned on living there forever. Again, like, we we live at, it's hard to picture, and I feel really, really blessed looking back. Like, this was truly like, it was a once in a lifetime type of house. It really was. Like, we ended up getting a decent deal on it, but I mean, I paid top dollar, $750,000 type money. We were talking on this house, but I thought it was worth it because we had lake access, we had property, we were moving closer to family, all these things. And like I told you, kind of as time went on, like, okay, now the baby's born. I'm driving an hour one way with my baby to drop off baby at grandparents to watch the kid for the day, doing work, and then coming home. And I ended up, for like the last 3 years, spending significant time in a vehicle, like 30% of my day type time in a vehicle, just like dropping people off, doing errands. Like, and I was so worn down from it that it just became so obvious that something needed to change. And, all of a sudden my wife, baby number 2, here's baby number 2 is we have confirmation that baby number 2 is going to be coming into the world within 9 months. So my wife and I sit down and we start to have a conversation of like, what does that mean for us? What does that mean for our family? What does that mean for Painted Arrow? Because we're busting at the seams in Devin's pole barn, trying to make this company get off the ground. And everything kind of really heavily depended, on me and where I was going to land, because I'm running the day-to-day of the business. So, Devin was fine with us using his pole barn. We're still kind of operating in there. But again, if we're gonna buy a commercial building somewhere, or if I'm going to move, it would really, like, everybody that works for us is going to have to commute to wherever this location is. And so there was just a lot of moving pieces. And so, at this time too, like, we have quite a few people that are helping us assemble product, like over a dozen people that, live local to Devin's house. Right. So all of a sudden I'm kind of like stuck to living within a radius of around Devin's house. And so all this to say, like, there was a building that we had looked at in our hometown, somewhere between that time where I'm driving back and forth. And we kind of always have, had been in the market. We've always been extremely interested in real estate. Anything that's remotely interesting, we would always go and try and walk it, and just to be in the market. We were always in the market. And I think that's really important if you are listening and it's your dream to own 250 acres, right? Like, it's important to be in the market. And what I mean by that is like, have your finances ready, be dialed, have connections with a good agent, have connections with mortgage officer, whatever. Like, just be in the market. Like, it can make something happen when you least expect it. And so we actually looked at an old church. There was an old church that was just down the road from where I'm sitting right now, and it was like a long, narrow building, but it
Hmm.
had like the main area where they would, what's the word I'm looking for?
Do mass
Yeah, but
or
sanctuary, that's the word I was looking for. The
okay.
main sanctuary was the first floor, and the second floor was like all these offices. And we were
Hmm.
like, man, this could be kind of a cool setup. We could do like a archery range kind of up on the top, and there was office space in the bottom, and that ended up not working. But right around this time, there was a building. It's an old bar and grill in our local hometown that had burnt down twice, two
Oh,
times,
geez.
and I'm not sure if there was arson involved. It's kind of a rough area ish, and it had always been a bar and grill. It kind of had changed hands two or three times, and so one of the guys locally that we know, he owns a farm type store where you buy tractors and side by sides, things like that. He's like, "Hey, I own this building. You should go down and check it out and look at it." And I went down and looked at it, and it was literally just like a foundation, like a block wall foundation. So you walk in the door, you look up, and there's no ceiling. It was just block wall. And he's like, "Well, I'll sell it to you real cheap." And at the time with everything, we couldn't see the vision. We didn't have it. Like, it didn't fit. The timing was way off. And so we were like, "Yeah, no, not no, can't do that. But appreciate you thinking of us." And everything was all black, like it had just burnt down. So it was like rough. It was really, really rough. But it was a commercial lot, and it was in our hometown. And it was like, that's interesting. Great location. So fast forward a couple months, and we all of a sudden somebody had bought it from this gentleman, and walls were up. There was a roof on it, and it looked like somebody was dumping some money into it. And so we noted that because we drive by it every day. And all of a sudden I remember, like, it was like on the market again. Devin and I both saw it, and we're like, "Oh, that's interesting. Like, why? That's like, I'm curious to what's going on. We should go down and check it out." So we went down, um, and when we had called on it, the guy had already pulled it off the market. Like, a couple days after we had called on it, like, it was already off the market. And we're like, "Oh man, maybe it's sold," and whatever. And we had an agent at the time, reached out, and this gentleman just had pulled it off the market because he wanted to get the well and some of the other things a little bit better fine tuned because he was having issues, and then he was going to relist it. So it was off the market.
Hmm.
We went and looked at this building, and he had basically like framed out on top of this block wall. So it's like an 8-foot block wall. He'd framed another couple of feet on top of that. So I think now there's 12-foot walls. He had a brand new metal roof on it. He basically he had some drywall in there, but it wasn't really finished. There's no doors. The concrete, this is an old bar. So like the concrete was all messed up. There was holes everywhere, old plumbing and fixtures and copper and everything, like nails sticking out of the ground. So that was really rough. But it was like the location, we couldn't get over the location of this. Like it was like 5 minutes from where we currently operate. It's on a main road. It's a commercial lot. And, you know, we're not having issues with the township here, but like, you technically need to be, abiding by the ordinances, and
Hmm.
it's not a commercial lot. And knock on wood, hopefully this doesn't get out to somebody, but it's not been a problem to this point.
Hmm.
But I'm not worried about it because we're almost out of here anyway, as you'll soon hear. um so that was kind of in the back of our mind, right? You got any questions? I'm kind of just going.
No, I'm just listening. I'm enjoying the story.
So so basically, so this building, we go look at it, and we end up doing a we am striking up a land contract deal. And he basically was going to use this for his business, and but he outgrew it and no longer needed it, and was just basically putting the final finishing touches on it to get it to the point where somebody could get a loan on it. And he was
Hmm.
going to relist it. And we said, "Well, what are you going to list it for?" And we ended up coming to, I'm not going to say the price just because,
Sure.
but we ended up coming up to an arrangement that was like close to kind of what he wanted. We felt like we were kind of stretching what it was, actually worth, but we just could not get over the location. Like, that was the
Mhm.
thing. Location, location, location. It's right in the area we want to be, and it caters to our audience with it being kind of like a roughneck, like agricultural community, and it's a place where we grew up. It's where we went to high school. We know
That's pretty cool.
everybody. It's really cool. It's really cool. And so um, we end up buying this building.
Hmm.
Okay. And we were like, it kind of just like happened in like 2 days. Like we called on it, we met with the guy, we put in an offer. He kind of like went back and forth. But within 2 days of us reaching out, we had like bought it just like
Boom.
that. It was just like out of nowhere. And so, during this whole process, I'm talking with my wife quite a bit, like, you know, like every day I'm going to be driving for sure now. Like this is where the long-term goal, every day I'm driving back and forth, like, and she was talking about having this second baby. Maybe she's going to be working a little bit less, like our mindsets completely changed with kids. Number two,
Hmm.
specifically, made a huge mess of it all. And we started thinking differently. We started having different priorities. We're driving over to this is our hometown area. So like her family, my family all live in this area. And just we wanted our kids to be close to, their grandparents and the
Hmm.
people that we all grew up around. And so all of a sudden, here we are. We're like actually looking at listing this property, house B, property B. And
Man.
I tell you what, man, this is where the story kind of gets interesting. But it was like I couldn't believe it, you know? I really, 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 really couldn't believe it. Like anybody who's moved, like I'm not just moving like, the dresser and the bed frame and stuff like that. Like I'm moving tractors and tool benches and like it's just all this baggage that you accumulate from working on farms and all these different attachments, the 3-point hitch, the trailers, I got a hay wagon, I got like it's a nightmare. Moving sucks. It just sucks.
Hmm.
And so I'm like, I can't believe we're actually going to do this. Like I was like, it was hard for me to picture it because like it felt like we were going to live there forever. And now that I'm like driving all the time, my wife and I just came to this firm conclusion. We prayed about it. Like it's what God wants us to do. We're going to list this thing. And again, we kind of had the attitude like, well, let's try and list this thing and get it sold before baby two comes. Okay.
Hmm.
And so last time when we'd moved, I'm like, there's no way we could possibly up the ante with, you know, quitting your day job and having a baby on the way. But now you throw in the mix of like, okay, there's the commercial building and then we're renovating that now. And,
Hmm.
there's just all these transitions, all these life pieces are coming together. And
Huge life. Yeah. Huge
uh,
life pieces.
it's just so tough having a family when you're young. You don't know until you know. And
Yeah.
I think a lot of people would understand that who have young kids. But anyway, so kind of keep the storyline rolling. At this point, like when we bought house when we bought house A, I'm sorry, B, when we bought house B, I always in my mind, because the way that it was set up, there was like you could easily separate the house from the land. And I thought that if I would never want to do that because I have like a love-hate relationship with splitting land because I love the big parcels.
Hmm.
But I know if like your single individual goal is to maximize your return, like it's important to look at all those things, right? Like it's important to like see if it's possible, what's it going to take? Is the juice worth the squeeze? And I remember thinking from the day we bought it, like if we ever wanted to, we could literally split off this house and build a house out on the property and it would be like super secluded and it fit right for this area. So I reached out to the township. They said, yeah, no problem. Um, we split the house. Okay. We
Hmm.
successfully split the house. And for anybody who has ever done this, I learned a lot in the process. There was a lot involved, and I tried to do it all myself. And I was really interested in learning about it. And basically, I had a mortgage on the entire property, house, land, everything. And I was curious if the more the lending company was going to allow me to split it like that. And so basically, anybody who's looking at doing this, from my personal experience, they want to make sure that um, whatever you're separating, whatever you're keeping, has at least 20% equity, right? They want to make sure that they have enough of the pie that when you split it and separate it, that you still can support the loan.
Hmm.
Does that make sense? Did I say that clearly?
Yeah. So essentially, the bank wants to ensure they still have enough collateral on what you're still borrowing against.
Exactly. So what they called for was an appraisal. So basically, we want to separate our house from the land. We were going to keep the land as a recreational tract, sell the
Mhm.
house, move closer to town. That was the idea. And so we put the house up for sale, successfully split, survey, everything was done. I got a release of the property from the mortgage so that I could just sell the house.
Mhm.
Everybody was on the same page. We list the house, and guess what happens? How
Man,
many people do you think reached out and asked about the land?
I'm gonna assume quite a few.
So that was where all the traction was, right off the cuff, was people
Really?
just locally who knew the area. I mean, this is a notable area,
Yeah.
and like it's one of the nicest
So
houses on the
the
lake.
yeah,
It's like everybody's
but
like,
the
"Well, what about?" Because everybody knows there's this beautiful home with all the
yeah,
land on the
yeah,
lake. Like, oh, it's so cool that you can own all that land and be on the lake, right? It was one of those things,
yeah.
and so all the interest was in the ground.
Oh, man.
And so here I am in my mind. My wife and I, we talked about it. It's like, well, we'll just we're gonna hold on to this land. It's a recreational tract. We did all this work on it. It's sweet for hunting. I mean, we planted miscanthus grass. We had clover plots put in. Like, we've done all the timber management. The trails are cut. The hinge cutting. Like everything. Stands. I got stands everywhere. And so all of a sudden, there's a ton of interest in the land. And so now I'm kind of put at a, I'm really put to the test of like, what is it? Um, and again, I'm going to give the glory to God because I truly believe like everything happens for a reason. And looking at where I'm at right now
Mhm,
versus in that mindset, it's like, your plans don't always line up with what God's plans are, right?
mhm.
And it's just amazing how when you listen to what He's got for you, the things that can happen, it's incredible. So it broke my heart, but we ended up selling that property before we even sold the house.
No way.
Sold the property before we sold the house,
How
and it
hard how
really,
how hard was that when you signed the purchase agreement? You're like, "Man, I'm selling this really" I mean, it sounds extremely special, and obviously you put a ton of work. I feel like the more work someone puts into something, probably the more affinity they have to it, rather, something that's out of sight, out of mind, like, it is what it is. But you had put a lot of work into it, and then, you think this beautiful house that you put work into and, it's everyone knows it. That's a little shocking to tell you the truth that that's how that played out.
yeah, it is shocking. I mean, I do I truly understand how blessed we were. Like we had a setup. I mean, for
The
most,
dream
like I'm
setup, yeah.
telling you, most people that came over, they were like just jaw drop. They're like you live here? Like this is your like we had a
Right, yeah.
beautiful, beautiful
How many people
home.
are like, "Painted Arrow must be doing real good, Nate."
Oh, people have no idea.
Yeah.
People have no idea. But no, it's like that. I'm serious. People would come to
Yeah.
work on the house and they're like, well, "What do you do?" It's like I'm just a normal, hardworking dude. Like I'm not anything special. But like we put ourselves in the position, and I give the credit to God and like when we bought and during COVID for House
Yeah,
A,
your
like that
first house,
that
yeah, set you up.
set us up. And I mean, I put the work in. I mean, I did, and I'm proud to say that. So, but it's funny how land, like have it being the land podcast, right? Like
Mhm,
the land is that's what people wanted. That's what allowed me to be in that position.
mhm,
And it was just a it was just a vacant recreational tract. I mean, it wasn't. I mean, it was special, but it wasn't like anything special, per
mhm,
se. So, um, but yeah, it was crazy. It really helped that the gentleman that I sold it to, I really, really, really liked the guy.
mhm,
And it was kind of like, the arrangement that I had with the realtor that was listing our house. Like we had an arrangement worked out where I was gonna like I wanted to show it. I wanted to be the guy to show the property. I wanted to be the guy to show the house. Like I wanted to be involved, and I wanted to learn the process. But I always think I can do it better. That's a flaw. Um, the flaw in me. But I also wanted to pick the person that was going to live there because it was special to me, right?
Yeah.
So, anyways, the guy, I really liked him. He knew, like, he told me he wasn't going to build on it. It was just going to kind of remain as is, and he's going to let me hunt it this year. And super, super, super good guy. So that ended up being how that went down. I sold that first, and then it allowed us to kind of have a little bit of cash. We were able to pay some debt down, student loans, and just kind of simplify. Right, like we took
Mhm,
almost almost all that money and we put it down on debt that we had, and like just simplified our life and kind of preparing for this baby number two. And so all the while we still had to sell the house, and the house was like the higher price point
Hmm.
um, of the two, and it took a lot longer than I thought. I thought we were going to sell only the house, right? Because that's the
Yeah.
only thing that we listed. We didn't even list the land, so I thought we were going to only sell the house. So the fact that it kind of worked in complete opposite and an entirely different situation, it was pretty crazy. But I wrote down the date here. Um, so we bought that house B in May of 2023,
Hmm.
and we closed in August this year. So like not too long ago.
No, not long at all.
No, not long ago at all. So the big question, right, is where did we go? So right now, as it sits, we are renting in a house
Hmm.
local to where the business is. Um, all the while, the last 6 months, we've been renovating our commercial building, and it's really turning out. It's really turning out in there.
I'm excited to go up and
Um,
look at it.
you're invited. You're
I can't
invited.
wait.
We have plans. We have big plans to make that a very special location, not just for our community, but for like the hunting industry. Like we have plans to do like events there,
Hmm.
different expos. Like we're working on like a buck pull to do some really special events with
That's
the
cool.
community, and just kind of like have it be like this cool place. It's almost like our fantasy factory, like you
Yeah. Yeah.
build out what it is you want. Like we almost put in a steam shower in this joint, like just crazy stuff. Like
Yeah.
just because we can and we want to. And
Yeah.
we actually kind of voted against doing that on the first round of renovations, but like that's coming in round two, I think. Um, but so we're renting, and it's been awesome to like so basically I got some money in the bank. I've
Hmm.
paid off a lot of debt. We've simplified our life in a big way. My wife and I have really like budgeting, like actually budgeting.
Hmm.
It's tough. It's a tough thing, and I know, some people aren't on the same page, and sometimes maybe the husband or the wife kind of like does all the budgeting, and the other one kind of just like is oblivious.
Hmm.
For us, that was like a huge deal when we started talking about, okay, you know, she's going to start working a little less. I'm going to start working a little more. We're going to be closer. We're going to sell. We got two babies instead of one. Like really like honing into our finances and like getting ready for this, because like eventually our plan is to buy the dream farm, right? Like, that's the plan. I want to buy
Right.
another farm, right?
Of
So,
course.
um, yeah. So,
How hard is it right now not owning any ground?
you know, that's a really good question, Jake, and I have a good answer for you. So, it does help that two things. It does help that like my best friend and business partner Devin, he's the man. Like he doesn't care if I come out and hunt on his place, right? And I'm
Hmm.
5 to 10 minutes from there, so like there's that. Like he'll allow me to get some hunting time in. Um, the gentleman that I'm renting from, believe it or not, he's got this house is an older farmhouse. He's kind of got it renovated. There's two different. It's like a duplex kind of, but we kind of rent the majority of it. It sits on 7 acres and it's in town, but it kind of like backs up to this swamp. And he's like, you can go bow hunt it if you want. And I'm like, you're kidding me. Like, you're gonna allow me to bow hunt it?
Yeah.
So I have this like little spot. It's like an acre that he's gonna let me bow hunt. And so this year I'm gonna really try and like shoot a buck right there
Yeah.
on this little. It's kind of like sets up nice, but it's like there's houses everywhere. But I got a trail camera back there underneath an apple tree, and there's deer in there. Like, you know what I mean?
Uh,
There's deer in there.
so you're
So,
still able to scratch the itch. So that's good.
but back to your question though, not owning land. Like there's difference. Like yeah, like
Yeah. You got
when
places to
you
go, but owning is totally different. Buck Land Funding. If you don't know who they are and you're looking to buy a piece of ground, I encourage you to reach out to them. They're chartered in multiple states across the Midwest, and they understand recreational land. I've said it a million times here on the podcast. The most important piece of buying your first piece of ground is finding a partner, finding a bank that understands what you're trying to do, that has competitive rates and understands the world of recreational land, because not all banks are created equal, and Buckland Funding understands our crazy goals of scooping up a piece of ground to enjoy it with family, to hunt it, to use it as an investment. They understand that and work with that every single day. I encourage you to reach out to them. If you're in the process of buying your first or 20th farm, reach out to Buckland Funding at bucklandfunding.com. Back to the conversation.
When you own land, there's nothing like it. When you have your little spot, your little slice, and you can go out and um, do whatever it is that gets you tickled, like whatever you want, and no one's there watching you, and it's just yours. It's different. It's really, really different. And you hear all these country songs about owning dirt. There's a reason. There's a couple country songs about it because it's legit. Like it's legit stuff, and it's so much fun. And it does have to make sense though. Like that's one thing I've learned with having a family. Like I'm starting to kind of mature, and I'm starting to figure out like your family and your kids and like those things come way first. They come so much more. Like those days are limited. Those days are numbered. Like I would give up all deer hunting if it's like time for my kids. I just would do it. So, the crazy story in this all, it's not done yet. I got more.
Okay, let's hear it.
So something with, Painted Arrow that, we've been, it's tough to run a seasonal business. What I mean is like, people aren't buying archery equipment in masses in April. Like they're just not, right? They're just not. So like this business is like, we're selling a lot in the summer and then we kind of die down towards the, after Black Friday, Christmas time frame, like everything just slows down and dries up. But then it's like really, really slow for, the spring months. And we're doing a lot of things to offset that. But like, there's nothing like the spike we get right now until hunting season. So we've always talked about how can we diversify. And, I got to give you a lot of credit, Jake, because you've been a huge mentor to me and Devin as we've kind of been on this land journey and trying to understand, just real estate in general. And we've been trying to figure out with this new building, like what are we going to do in this location that is going to be able to, offset some of the seasonality of what we do with Painted Arrow. And so it kind of like hit us like a ton of bricks. One day we're like, we love the real estate stuff. We're super, super involved in, our friends and family who want to buy land, who want to buy homes or rental properties or flip something. Like we've just become the people, and our journey has like, it's like prepared us. It's prepared us for all these like things like, buying a CRP farm and renovating a house and digging a new well and buying a backhoe and digging a new drain field. And, now we got to, figure out easements and there's encroachments on like there's all these things with all these properties that me and Devin have kind of co-owned and owned separately that have kind of prepared us for like this moment. And so one day it hit us like a ton of bricks. Like we should help people buy farms. We should help people just what you do. Like that's what you do.
Yep.
And it's like, it's so fulfilling. It's so rewarding. And we had a conversation, and that's why I really want to thank you because like, we when we do something, and you're the same way, you've got multiple successful businesses. It's like when you do something, you want to do it all the way. You don't want to just do it to do it or check a box or, put the shirt on. Like you're going to do it. You're going to do it full on. So we were like kind of really debating like, are we going to become realtors and specialize in land management with, as it pertains to hunting and all those types of things. And so, this is kind of a new announcement, but Devin and I are officially licensed in the state of Michigan.
Breaking news right here on the Land Podcast.
Property. And
that's awesome.
I just got to say, it's so divine. It's so divine. We've partnered with our brokers, Mossy Oak Properties. They're great guys, and it really goes alongside with our brand. And as we're kind of renovating this facility over there, we have a studio and we're going to have some really cool like fixtures and things like that, like, Painted Arrow and Mossy Oak collaborations and such. But we're super, super excited to be able to now be, in the market to help other people. You know what I'm saying? And so I don't know. It just, everything is so divine how it works. And you look back and step back and look at every single little experience and every little thing that's happened. And I'm like at a place right now, especially with this whole Charlie Kirk thing, man. I'm just like, like give the glory to God. Like he is so good. And I don't know, man. It just feels like everything, it was put into place for a reason. Everything happens for a reason.
Mhm.
Um, we're sitting at a place where, yeah, maybe I don't have all the number of acres that I want, but who cares? Like, who cares? Like, I
Yeah,
got a
plenty
beautiful
of other things
family.
to be yeah, plenty of other things to be thankful for, yeah.
Yeah, I got a business that's flourishing. I mean, I get to come on here and talk to you today. Like, I'm fired up, man. I'm just fired up. I can't even tell you. I have no idea what the next step is. Everybody asks me that, like, what are you gonna do next, Nate? I'm like, I don't know, man. I have no idea. Like,
I've
maybe
got
I'll
that question a
buy a
lot lately too.
plane.
Yeah, I've got that question a lot lately too, and it's like I feel kind of crappy. I don't have a really direct answer, but gonna keep plugging away. No, I'm super happy for you guys, and it's crazy. It's crazy what just a year can make, or 2 years can make, or 3 years can make, and whatever journey you're on, when you're being diligent and being thoughtful from a day to day approach. Like it truly is insane how much can change in a short amount of time if you're really thoughtful with your actions. And I think you guys are a great example of that. I do have a question about your budgeting because
Yep.
this episode that just went live, it's September 15th. Off air, as soon as we got done, that was something he brought up. Unfortunately, a lot of times when you press end record, there's really good stuff that always comes up in a podcast. But he brought that up that like man, me and my wife we really got diligent with our budgeting, and it's made a huge difference. And I have my cash slush fund, and once it's gone for the month. For like his example was buying trail camera batteries or SD cards or whatever the case may be. What advice do you have after you guys really refined your budget? Because it's easy to get lazy with your budget when you're like, oh yeah, whatever. What did you guys do? What was your approach?
Okay, so I mean, I'll give this is my personal opinion. You're asking me that, so
Yep.
Dave Ramsey, like he's a guy that randomly pops up on my feed, and I can't. He's like, I just can't help but to watch him,
Yeah.
And I took his course in high school, and um, there's a reason they say like you want to find a woman, or if you're listening, and you're a woman, you want to find a man who is equally yoked, and a big piece in terms of finances
Uh-oh.
as well. And, oh, did I mess up?
No, it paused there for a second. I was about to write
Where
it
was
down.
I at?
Go
I'll
ahead.
recap.
Equally yoked.
Oh yeah.
With the years. Yep.
Yeah, so being equally yoked, and really what that means, like it's a biblical term, but if you picture two oxen, right? The two oxen, you put a yoke on them, and you want them to both pull at the same pace, basically.
Yeah.
All this to say, like when it comes to finances, like it's super important that your partner is like on the same page, because you both are spending the money, right? And so for us, like my wife and I had to have some hard conversations of like, okay, we need to both cut the fat. We both need to trim the fat. And so like, you know, subscriptions are easy one, but like you start to look at, let's just say you have a Spotify, you have a Netflix, and you have a 25 trail
Hulu.
cameras,
Oh,
right?
that. Yeah. Yeah.
Like that's serious cash, man. Like it's like little. It's not the big stuff. It's not the mortgage. It's not the like that's built in. So like we
Mhm.
would put like a built-in section and like all the not built-in stuff. And you start to look at the non-built-in stuff, and it's like, okay, what of this can we just get rid of? And then of the built-in stuff, is there a way to improve those numbers at all? And that's kind of the two categories, the two columns that I would always look at is like every month doesn't have to be every month. What can we remove? How can we like minimize those? And so
Mhm.
like as a simple way, like if you can just get a T chart out and write it on a piece of paper, like look at your monthly bill, and like that's literally what I did. I mean, this is not rocket science, but um,
What was the hardest thing to cut out of your budget?
um oh, that's a good question. I'm gonna say probably like I don't know, like when you feel like you work hard and you make money, and you're like you want to go out and just like you know, buy a new phone or something. Like, it's like you look at it, it's like, do I really need to have a new phone? For me, the answer might be yeah, because got a business built around it, and
Mhm.
whatever. But like, it's just like the things that like you just see it and you just want it, and you
Mhm.
feel like you deserve it because you work hard, but you don't really need it. It's just
Yeah.
stuff like that for me. Like, I don't have any major subscriptions, but like, maybe something for my truck. I want to get a new set of wheels for my truck or something like that. It's just like the unnecessary month to month things that always come up that I'm like, I want it. Like I work hard and I feel like I should be able to buy it. And so I don't have a good specific example, but it's just stuff like that.
I didn't know if there was anything that's like, man, my wife's, drawing, dialing back on this. I gotta, be similar, similar yoke. I gotta cut back this thing. That's gonna be really hard. And instead of running 20 cell cameras, I'm only gonna run 10, and these other ones are gonna be on standard, and I'm about to go pull them. I didn't know if
I'm
it
not,
was something like that.
I'm not doing any cellular subscriptions this year. I'm only doing like, I mean, I have the
Standard.
cameras, but I'm not
Yeah.
paying for the service. So that was a big thing. Like I'm used to kind of, not having to walk down to the trail camera, but I don't have very many acres to walk anymore.
Fair.
So
Yeah. This is a good year to do that. No, that's really fascinating. Okay, so what other what other thing did you learn throughout your your journey here? And I'll boil this into Painted Arrow and also the land real estate that you wish you would have known when we recorded that first episode. You mentioned you've matured, you've learned a lot of more things, and I feel like that just comes with being a little bit of naive in your 20s, where I'm
yeah.
similar. Like, yeah, I got to figure it out, and then the more you learn, the less you know, and that is a very real thing. What on either one of those buckets? What sticks out that you wish you would have known 3 years ago to September 15th, 2025?
Well, with the being an agent thing, like I wish I would have done that a long time ago.
Mhm.
It's just one of those things. Like I really enjoy selling. I love the art of the negotiation process. Like I love
I
that.
know you do. I know you well enough that I know you do.
I do. I like trying to like just outsmart and outwit and outthink people. And I just wish I would have gotten that license. It wasn't, terribly difficult. It took
Mhm.
time and dedication and it was a process, but I just wish I would have done that. One thing that I think I've learned, and you might not like this answer, but like you see people who are really good hunters and they always talk about, I specifically hear them on your podcast. They talk about like listening to your gut
Mhm.
and like really leaning, like you just get a really keen sense for like following your instincts. And the same thing with like real estate and property and big life changes. Like I'm not proud that I've done a bunch of these big life changes. I just kind of have. And it's
Mhm.
like you 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 learn to follow your instinct and your gut. And a lot I almost right next to that is like listen to God to me. Like
Mhm.
listening to your gut and praying about it and like feeling out the timing. Timing's a big one too. Like everything has its right time. Like you can do a lot of things in life, but if the timing doesn't work out, like it doesn't make sense. So kind of like if I'm wrapping that up, the things that I've learned the most is like, that gut instinct of when to, either push in or kind of back off, listening to God when I'm asking, like, is this something I should be doing? And then again, is the timing right for what I'm trying to accomplish here? So that's
Mhm.
kind of a three-part way to answer it, but that's something that's really, really been clear to me is as you do more deals, as you kind of get your hang of it, I'm 30 years old, so I'm not I'm just getting going in my mind, but you just got to listen to your gut. You got to really like listen to your gut.
Mhm. I completely agree with that. It's hard for people to know what that is if they haven't listened to their gut in the past. And I do think it's great for business and also deer hunting, which is it's always funny all the parallels of when deer hunting is. I don't want to call it like a true North Star, but like if it's very impactful in your life and your data. I mean, okay, if you didn't love deer hunting, would you be self employed running an outdoor industry company? Probably
Right.
not.
Right.
But there is always so many different parallels on like being patient, being aggressive, knowing when the time is right. Like all those things can leach into your personal life or professional life, and I think that's why whitetail hunting is just so addicting for the people that really enjoy it.
Yeah. I completely
Well,
agree.
Um, I want to say, thanks for everything from your guys' perspective too. When I had my career transition here, end of last year, early this year, you guys were a supporter like instantly with the rebranding of everything. So I appreciate your guys' support, and I've told you guys independently many times like I want to see you guys be successful, and it's awesome to see you guys continue to grow. Um, I'm giving you like an opportunity to plug as hard as you want on Painted Arrow. And because I think that anyone that listens to your story, they understand like, hey, these guys are just like me. They're building a business. They're doing it for the love of having more opportunities to recover game, record and capture the memories. Like this isn't going to be on National Geographic. It's on your phone, but everyone has their phone, and all these like raw emotions and the moment that we all look for to the fall, you throw your phone on your one of your guys' attachments, and you get to relive it. You get to airplay it to your TV and show your kids or show your wife after the hunt, like, oh, this is what happened. So feel free to plug it as hard as you'd like, because and maybe I did a little bit for you too.
No, you're good. The business, you know, man, it's really emotional. Like I've had, you know, this business has really blown me away. I'll be honest with you. Like the impact that it is, people have reached out and told us like, hey, these products are legit. We use them in the field, and I've got my daughter's first hunt, first buck on record. Got it all on record, and people share it with us, and like that specific part of it is it's unbelievable. Like I don't have enough time to sit down and share all the details and specs on our products, but like we make magnetic filming solutions for mobile hunters, so we have a lot of different options. We're
Mhm.
coming out with new products all the time, but more than anything, at this little last moment, I really want to just like give the glory to God. Like I really do. There's
Mhm.
no chance. There's no chance that like I'm just a normal dude. I mean, I feel like God has allowed me to be um, like I've lived the American dream. I really have. We started this company from nothing, literally nothing but an idea and thoughts and ideas and some hard work and some drive. It's amazing what like can happen. And I just think of like wherever you are. We just had this podcast on our personal platform, but like we talked about leaning in, just leaning in wherever you are. And I've been there. Like if you're a guy or a gal, you're working and you just hate your job. You feel like you have no purpose. I feel like I hear that a lot. Like,
Mhm.
man, you're just so lucky, Nate, because you're working in the hunting industry. It's like, well, no, no, no. Like I was once where you were, and I decided to make a change. And I'm gonna preach for just a second, okay? There's a story in the Bible. It's David and Goliath. It's one of my all-time favorites. And David was a shepherd boy, a young little kid. And there was a giant that the Israelites were fighting the Philistines. And there's this giant. He's 9'9", and he's wearing all this armor. And he's basically saying, come out and kill me. Somebody fight me. And nobody had the courage but this little shepherd boy. Okay. But God was using him in his day to day as a shepherd to go out. He had a sling, right? And he would fling rocks at bears and lions. It says this right in the Bible. It's in 1 Samuel. Would fling rocks and kill bears and lions with his bare hands. God was using him in his day to day to prepare him for that moment in his life. And David then becomes a king, right? He becomes the king of Israel, and he ends up having this huge, long trajectory in the Bible, and it was a huge part of God's plan. But like, that's you, right? Whoever's listening, like, that's you. So if you're doing something today and your goal is X, Y, Z, whatever it is, fill in the blank. Like, just look at it wherever you are. God's got you there for a reason. So gather all those tools that He's giving you, and for one day in the future, it might be 10 years, it might be 20, it might be in 5. But like, you're going to have the opportunity to use that skill set that you were in that place where you didn't necessarily want to be, to have it better you. And I can't even count the number of times that I've looked back and had those circumstances. Like, hey, I hate my job. I'm working in a corporate America, and like it protected me and got me to a place with the company where we are today, to be able to have the skill set to bring products to the market. And it's like a bulb, just light bulb moment all the time for me.
Mhm.
I'm like, man, I learned that 5 years ago when I did that, you know? And so more than anything, I just want to say like the products and people buying it, that's what keeps us alive. And we really appreciate that. But more than anything, I got to give the glory to God, because I'm blown away with what He can do in such a short amount of time with something as little as a little bit of for myself, I'm speaking on myself, just a little bit of hard work and dedication and love for your family. Like, it goes so far. So that's how I want to end it, is just say,
Mhm.
whoever's listening, just keep going into whatever you're doing and have those goals, work towards it, but just know that you are in a place for a reason, and just pay attention.
Love it. Well, thank you so much for candidly sharing your story. It's cool enough that the Land podcast has been, it doesn't feel like it's been around this long, but it's so fun to do these follow ups where, to just to see the progression of, how life, continues to march forward, and you make your decisions. And so I appreciate you doing this. And then, where can people find obviously what you guys have going on? I'm sure they can Google it, but just real quick, and then we'll wrap it up.
Yep, paintedarrow.com, and then all social media platforms are Painted Arrow. You can find us anywhere. We're all over the place. But Jake, dude, you're a winner. You really are, and
Appreciate that.
I appreciate you doing this platform and allowing me to come on. And we really respect you, man. You've done some really incredible things. You've had a lot of, the trials that you've had too in the last couple years have been. I mean, you can't even begin to like prepare or like get yourself ready for that. And the fact that you just went and marched through it and figured it out, it just shows who you are. And you're a winner. So I appreciate you.
I appreciate it. Yeah. Well, awesome, man. I can't wait for you guys to get your facility done. I'm going to hop in my truck and go up there and visit it.
You're welcome to come anytime.